the role of artificial intelligence as a driving force for the economy and society cannot be undermined. Imagine dedicating 30 different sessions just to talk about artificial intelligence. It seems like a force that has come into the world and is sweeping with just very great force. But really, what roles will AI play in shaping global economy over at least the next decade?
Thank you very much for that. Yes, like you just alluded to, I was watching the World Economic Forum on TV yesterday as well. And when you start to hear world leaders, when you start to hear people that matter, start to narrow down on a particular field of study, then it tells you that we're talking about something that is very, very, transformative. In fact, I think that the theme of this entire 2024 should just be on things around artificial intelligence and what it can do. And coming back to the question, the last time we had something like this that was very close to this kind of transformation that everybody was talking about was at the advent. I don't know if you remember the advent of the internet, when everybody could all of a sudden, I don't know if you remember the very first time you sent an email to somebody and the person received it. That's the kind of thing we are also having here, because it is cutting across every sector, every field. There is no, it's not like it's something that is peculiar to a particular segment, and that is the role it is going to play. Everybody somehow is going to have to align with that. It's going to take away a lot of jobs. It's going to create a brand new jobs that we have probably even, just like the internet when it came as well, you realize that there were a lot of people too that were concerned about if at the time I remember sending an email, all of a sudden people that companies like letter or post offices started getting worried that, okay, what's going to be in it for us? But guess what happened? The transition from sending letters to sending parcels. So the same thing is going to happen in the artificial intelligence world, where we now have machines doing some of the repetitive tasks that humans are doing, which will now free up humans to do more creative endeavors, as it were. So that's the role it's going to play, and it's going to elevate some of the because the way it works is you have packed a lot of human intelligence that over time has been generated. These are years. Imagine, like before, if you wanted to, I remember when I was in school, if you want to do some kind of research for your final year project, you'd have to go to a library, you have to look at books, you have to study, maybe 20, 30 books, and then it takes time. But now, with the advent of the internet, with the advent of, AI, you can sit on the computer and just key in certain things, and it will actually give you the information within a short period of time. That means that it now frees up time to create a lot more. And because we're talking about computers doing this thing, it gives us more creativity in some of the things. So we're seeing it affecting, especially like things in healthcare. There are diseases, there are things that are happening now that we still haven't had cures for. Maybe if we had this AI during COVID, it may have given us, the formula for the vaccine. If some doctors had keyed it in. So those are some of the things we'll see. It's going to affect every sector, from entertainment to education to healthcare to retail to whatever you want to have it.
All right, talking about the World Economic Forum taking place in Davos, you see that world leaders are gathering together and they are of great concern when it comes to the issue of AI. Now, let me make reference to a statement made by Bill Gates, the Microsoft co-founder. He said artificial intelligence will drive a dramatic shift in productivity across the labor market. I would like you to react to this, because they have their sessions and several leaders are taking turns to talk about their concerns about artificial intelligence. But his own take is that it's going to drive a dramatic shift in productivity across the labor market. How do you react to this?
Yes, and he would be right if he says that. Every time I always talk about any technology, any piece of technology that is new, there are three things that it must fulfill. You think about it is, does this piece of technology, does it make me money? Does it does it allow me to make more money? Number two, does it save me money? Does it help me save money? And the third and most important thing is, does it solve a problem? And that part is what Bill Gates was talking about, that it is going to drive things that would take time before, things that you probably be spending 3, 4, 5, 6 days, you know. And I'm even looking at it even from a point of view of what we are doing. I mean, very soon, I'm sure I'll probably come into the studio one day, and all we'd have here would probably be machines that automatically, as soon as they, you know, capture, they are editing, they are uploading, they are, you know, those are the kinds of things that we'll see. So it's going to drive up, you know, productivity. Well, these are tools, you know. Don't let us forget that at the end of the day, it's going to augment what humans would do. It's not going to take away the human role. There is no, at this point in time, maybe in 50 years, maybe in 100 years, we'll have machines, you know, opening doors and driving. Yes, we'll get there. But right now, it's just going to augment what you and I are doing. So what you probably do, maybe sometimes you want to write a script for an interview like this before you'll have had to probably do a lot of research by yourself, knowing what AI is. But right now, you can simply just key in certain things in ChatGPT, and to give you certain, you know, questions that you can now amend. So it frees you up to do a lot more things. It helps you understand a lot of you see, artificial intelligence is the way we're using, especially the generative AI part of it, which, you know, which seems to be the one people are talking about. There's still another part called the deep learning, you know. Now it's a bit like a search engine on steroid. Like, you know, like when you have Google, you know, normally when you use Google will give you like 20, you know, items to read, but this goes straight to the point. So it allows you, frees you to do more important things, to be more creative, to be more, you know, creatively minded, sort of to help you in what you're doing and drive up, you know, the productivity that you already have. So it's going to, you know, 100x whatever we're doing now. And I think that that's just the starting point for, you know, this AI that we're talking about.
All right, we also have someone joining us in this discussion via Zoom. We have Samuel Austin, and he will be joining us. Good morning, Samuel. It's good to have you in Early Exchange. All right, Samuel.
Hi,
now,
thank you.
AI is predicted to affect the world economy unequally. Now, could you speak to that, why it is said to affect the world economy unequally? Are there certain economies that will have different, or will feel the effect of AI differently than others, and what are the reasons?
Thank you so much for having me here. It's always good to talk about artificial intelligence and social media. You're absolutely right. As much as we want AI for economy change, we're going to see a lot of drastic change economically. We must also still focus on society. And when we talk about society now, we know that there's a lot of high impact economy where we have things like the Western world, US, UK, all these other countries that have already high impact economy, where their economy are running very smoothly, very fast, with a lot of manufacturing. But when you come to places like Africa, India, which we're already seeing some influx of AI in these countries. For example, in India, we're seeing a lot of the use of AI for many of their economy, but there's still an inequality going on. One of the inequalities we must look into is the fact that young people can use this technology, but old people cannot. And if we are aware, many of the companies or industries are ran by many of the big or older generation people, which some of them do not know how to use this technology. And again, as the other speaker was speaking earlier, it's still the same way as when we first had emails. And some people could not use emails, but over time they got to use it. So one of the inequalities is the young and the old. Another part is the high impact jobs and low impact jobs. Some of the jobs that are still in Africa are still things like media jobs, artisans job, which some of these things are still needed in our economy. But if you look in the Western world, they already have many of the things that already have been covered, these little tasks, mini tasks that could be taken over by robots or could be taken over by technology, works effectively more there than over here. So there's still a disparity with the adoption of AI, even technology generally, locally here in Africa in comparison to other Western countries. I think the comparison we should put here would be two things about the age gap, but also even just the measure of the way jobs are done across our economy in general. will be things that we should look into. In this regards, I would say we should probably just look into, as countries now and even across the world, even the fact that it's speaking so much about AI, you know that it's a lot of things that even has to do with climate. And what we should be looking at in our countries will be more about just AI preparedness and how prepared are different countries, and not only just countries, but individuals and businesses, how prepared are they for this AI? And because there's so much AI tools now coming out on a daily basis. Yesterday, I was seeing one where they have this AI now you can attach to your phone, and it takes your phone calls. You just have to press the button and it can take your phone calls. It can take your conversations with people, and it will give you a summary of a conversation, and you have a whole sort of database of your conversation with different people, and you are keeping track of the kind of conversations you have. Just for, like, I was on here today, the things that I've said here today could be recorded on YouTube, but if I had my AI, it would actually make it a more comprehensive and summarized way for what I'm saying, and it would even probably give me a summarized things maybe at the end of the year, just like Spotify did for us last year, and tell me, oh, this is the amount of things you're talking about the most this year, some of these things. But again, being very prepared for this AI influx to be a very good way to look into this inequality that it's on everybody's mind, especially even at the World Economic Forum, which they've talked about very much recently.
All right, Sam, glad to see you once again. Now, let me point your attention to the concern raised by Bill Gates, one of the, prominent leaders at the forum. Apart from talking about, the impact of the productivity of AI when it comes to the labor market, he also raised the concern that AI might also worsen global inequality. Do you share this sentiment?
Yeah, I again, as I mentioned before, we're not really looking into our preparedness for the AI influx. And it's already here. We can't run away from it. What I want us to really look at in this, and some of the ways that this will come in. Again, I've mentioned about this age gap and the way that we're learning. That's one aspect. Another aspect is the ethics and regulations that are happening in our different countries. So one of the first things that I'll mention is how do we evaluate the elements of like years of school or job market mobility? How do we get people into jobs? How do we get people to graduate out of school faster? These are some of the things that we can look into, this inequality stuff. We've looked into Africa right now. We looked in Nigeria. They're already shutting down universities, talking about being able to go to school for 6 weeks and things like that's not correct and not effective. But we need to start evaluating those things because learning technology is faster. Using the technologies become faster. There's some jobs and how to get people into jobs that need to be done more swiftly. Organizations need to start training their people faster to be able to adopt to this technology. There is definitely the inequality that is going to exist because of the age group, the people that are used to this technology already. So if you have a kid now that's at 5 years old, 6 years old, you already know that they're already using iPads. They already know how to talk to a computer. You can see them speaking to things like Alexa and saying, hey, Google, and things like that, which many of us still don't even know how to use. We've not even started to make our phones even get used to us by speaking to it more often than actually just typing on it. These are some of the things that we could look into the inequality. The other side of things will be the ethics and regulation of digital business models. So many of our organizations that we have industries, we can look into manufacturing, for instance, in the Western world. Many of the manufacturing are going into using AI now for their tasks. Amazon, for example, with shipping things, they're already using robotics and things like that. But we here in Africa and across India, some of these low or low economic impact countries, we're now seeing how the governments are really looking into the ethics and regulation of adoption of digital business models. So for a business, how can you infuse digitalization into it? How can you make sure tasks are done through it to make sure that we have a country's legal framework or a country's framework of engaging in different industries or institution using this AI. So definitely, I do agree. My thoughts and my sentiments is the fact that definitely we have this. And this is why people like us stand in this position is to say, okay, we need to go into businesses and start telling them, what is your business model? What's your digital business model? How can you change your business model to be able to adopt AI? Look at it in different processes for your business, from the accounting part of it to the HR to the revenue generation or or things like business development or commercialization of your business, even just replying emails and communicating with your customers. How are you looking at integrating this AI into it so that you can actually reduce this inequality that will come your way? Because not AI is, as the other speaker mentioned, if you're looking at this technology, you're looking at the fact that, is it making me money, or can it reduce the cost that I'm spending, or is it solving the problem? And AI actually does all of this. It's either it can make you more money, or it can reduce the cost that you're doing, or it's solving a problem in your business. But you want to look into your business at this moment and say, what is the model that I can put into it that can help me adapt myself to the AI boom, the AI rush that's going on at this moment? But definitely, I will agree that there's that inequality, and the two parts we need to look into is one of the parts about education, and the other parts that we need to look into is about this regulation and ethics about how we're infusing business models, digital business models into our country's framework.
All right, so Samuel Austin has talked about a lot of things: adaptation, education, and how AI is going to transform work. Now let's look at the future of work. Now, according to a research done and released, it gave a breakdown of fastest growing occupation from 2021 to 2031. Now, among them, we have data, the job of a data scientist, growing by 25%, 26% rather. We have data science and analytics growing by 29%. AI and machine learning growing by 31%, renewable energy 27%, healthcare and medical technology 21%. But we do know that not everyone can fit into this, even though they want to adapt. So for the future of work, what's it going to be like? You mentioned earlier that what AI would do is to free up humans for other things. So what other job opportunities will this open up?
Very good question again. You see, AI depends. I mean, you just reeled out some of these statistics, and the first three things you mentioned: data science, data analytics, and AI. And you can see from that, it means data. We need data. Who is going to put the data in AI? AI is not going to do this job by itself. So at the end of the day, we're going to have humans collate. In fact, the direction is such that the way AI is right now is still very plain. It's still very, it's not specific to an industry. So for instance now, I can't go onto AI now and say, oh, who is going to be a guest today on early exchange? You wouldn't know because it doesn't have that data. So over time, we're going to now start to have industry and country specific data. So, and this data, you see, we're generating data every day. If you take a look at something like, I was listening to the new minister of immigration saying that, oh, very soon, you can sit in your house and just go online and just put in, and they will bring your passports to you and everything will be done, like that. That is a very good use of, this kind of technology. But at the end of the day, a human being still needs to supply that data that we are going to work with. Now, this data that is being generated, like who is stratifying it, who is storing it, who is collating it to be able to train AI. At the end of the day, so we're going to have these jobs. People are going to come and become proper data scientists. People are going to become training engineers. But therein lies the problem again, because it's also going to, like the other speaker said, it's going to have to do with regulation. I see that it's still, when new technologies come in this part of the world, there's always that urgency to sort of contain it, to put safeguards, to put guardrails, to say, oh, let's not allow it. Because I know for sure that there are some schools that you can't even use mobile phones. Now, if you don't teach kids, these young people, how to use this technology, in this part of the world, I think we're still consuming AI. We are not supplying anything. Everybody's still using ChatGPT. But it's useless to me because some of the training data they've used, some of them have training biases, such that, for instance, if you're telling me they have, cultural biases. They have things that we do here that, for instance, if you go and ask it anything about AO, it will give it to you, but it's not going to be like if somebody here has one. So what we need here now are people that will train the data and then encourage young people to learn the back end of the technology, not just from the user point of view. Ability to how many Nigerians, how many people really know how to feed data to an AI that you can now query? That's what we need to be doing. That's the job of the future. You see, people are saying, one of the themes of, apart from the World Economic Forum, there was the CES last week, that's the Consumer and Electronics Show in Las Vegas, where people were saying, oh, people coding would, yes, there won't be so many people coding. It simply means that you can become a coder, because now you can use natural language to say you want to, develop something by yourself. You don't need to go and get an engineer. You don't need to go and you sit down and put natural language and say, I want to build so, and the AI will construct it for you. Then it frees you up to do, the marketing of your business, to do, publicity of your business, to engage clients, because that mundane task. So it gives you power. It gives me power. So right now, it just enables, it opens up, the door for a lot of, in fact, as I'm talking to you right now, we can't even quantify. Just like when the internet came, nobody really knew that today, so in 10 years, in 15 years, people will sit in their homes, like, the former speaker we don't know where he is, but he's able to log into the studio. Guess what medium he's using? He's using the internet. So the same thing, very soon, maybe you will be his avatar that, you'll be talking to, and you'll be talking exactly like him, with his reasoning, with his thinking, with his mannerisms, and you would actually think you're talking to me, and we're also still getting value. So those are the kind of things that we're going to see, as we go into the future. It's going to enable a lot of industries, to get to the next level.
All right, let me take the conversation back to Sam. You heard Sheyi talking about the impact of AI when it comes to job creation, but there are two sides to a coin. Just like the concern raised by Bill Gates earlier. Let me read the statement to you this time around on the issue of job loss. He said, the world is going to experience lower labor demand, leading to lower wages and reduced hiring. I would like to have your take on this. Do you foresee job losses as a result of AI?
Thank you for that question. I definitely see a lot of job losses. It's scary, but also exciting, to be honest. I think the last time I was on Silk News, we were talking about AI and healthcare. And I mentioned that individuals would have to start developing their own artificial intelligence, their own personal artificial intelligence. I think the other speaker was just mentioning that my avatar will probably be the one speaking to you. Will have my own mannerism and the rest of things like that. But definitely there's going to be a loss of many of these jobs. But I don't want that to be a scare to people. It's not one of the things that I really focus on or sit on about this, job loss. Some of the job loss that we'll be looking at are things like repetitive task, things like maybe collecting data. For example, the speaker was just talking about the fact that he wouldn't know who's coming on this show today, which are repetitive tasks. You have to write my name all the time. You have to tell the speaker again my name. You have to tell the anchor my name again. Some of these things are things that will be taken away by AI, because then the AI would always be used to the certain type of data collection. So simple data collection task, simple data summary, writing of tasks, those type of things will be eradicated. And many of the times, if you look at these things, these are not really things that human beings do generally, or how creative they are as human beings. So definitely when we talk about the jobs that AI are taking, it's still very minute to the amount of jobs that AI will create, because we have so much to do, especially like in countries like Africa, in places like India. We have a vast amount of virginity to do some amazing things. Right now we're talking about AI, but we've not even started to talk about IoTs. And if we look at the relationship between IoTs and AI, there's a relatively new way that leads into a new way that human beings look at Earth in general, which is why we're talking about climate action. How are you aware of where you are going? Some people will tell me they travel to the Western world, and when they get to the United Kingdom, they're already cold. Their brains are trying to acclimatize to those sort of things. But imagine that you had a AI system that can tell you that you're going to UK. This is the change that's going to happen. This is the kind of jacket you can wear to acclimatize yourself over time. You start to connect with things. So when we're looking at the future of work in general, in regards to AI coming into the picture, I think we should start to look at things from a point of before now. We work with technology. That means I'm using this computer now to talk to you guys here at the studio. I have my cell phone. I can use it to call someone, or I can use it to view social media and things like that. But imagine that my computer and these things were talking to themselves. So right now, as I'm speaking, imagine this, my computer is talking to my phone and telling my phone things that are giving me suggestions on things that I can say to you guys. That is the future of work. We need to start looking at the fact that the machines will start to talk to themselves and interact with us so that we can do our job more effectively. So when we talk about the loss of jobs, it is something to mention, but I think that it's really just about the fact that there is going to be all these mini tasks, which I don't even like anymore. These administrative regular things of task and getting things done. I need to know what this one is saying here. The AI just helps you to collate all of that and create a functionality for data. It creates a functionality for why I'm Sam, why the other speaker is who he is, why the anchors are here. It just helps us to be able to make things work more effectively. So definitely, there's going to be lots of jobs. If we look at data that's been mentioned, 40% in some areas, 30% in some places, all of it is around 30, 40, 20% of jobs that will be lost due to these things. But it's not as massive as and we've not started to even give data on how much jobs AI is going to create. But I definitely am very confident that it's going to create more jobs than actually taking away the jobs.
All right, Sam, I want you to respond to this. Now, while Dende was talking, he said that we're just consuming AI as it is. And I believe he was referring to developing countries. And then he talked about AI, for some generative AI, having a training bias. Now, picking from where you left off, talking about effectiveness. Now, what could be the effect of using AI that has some training bias? For instance, data that has been put into the AI with certain bias that do not conform with a certain culture, and you use those information. What's going to happen?
I just love this question a lot, because I'm so particular about data from Africa. I can't talk about it enough. We do not have much data. This is why I mentioned earlier about the ethics and the regulation of allowing and infusing digital business models into businesses, into industries. Why? I think I've said on Soak News before, some businesses do not even have basically a website. You're not collecting data of the people that are registering on your business. So you would see things like when you're filling out a form for a job, or you're filling out a form to participate in an event, or you're filling out a form to just buy something online. One of the fascinating things that happen is that you're actually selecting male, female, age range, Christian or Muslim or things, black or something. And the Western people are collecting this data, and it's feeding into the industry that you're submitting that data into. And if that data is being collected and collated into providing interaction, so for instance, we have the GPT, which is one of the biggest ones now, but GPT gives us data or gives us conversational information from articulating this data. So let's say an industry like health in the Western world is collecting data on patients. What happens then is that the AI globally, because it's the internet, let's not forget, it's literally only collecting data of the white people. It's not collecting data on black people. So in this regard, I would say that the best thing for us to do right now is to start to infuse digital business models into our businesses. I cannot emphasize this enough, and put something digital into your business. It's not just social media. A lot of people are so particular about being on social media these days that it makes me upset. So one of the things that I will put out here today is that the world is talking about climate, and trash pollutes the earth. Let's say about 3.4 tons every year. I'm very particular about sustainability, and it's the only way we can use AI effectively with data is about sustaining the earth. It's about sustaining businesses, sustaining lives. And for instance, trash is polluting the air 3.4 tons every CO2 every year. But social media, digital media, just scrolling on your phone every time is contributing about 5.4 tons to the earth pollution. And if we're using such things in Africa, and that's all we're using, we're not actually producing a real data set of what we should be, how we should be doing things. So we're not having our businesses, our industries, our manufacturing, we're not having our agriculture using digital business models that can bring about lack of this digital bias. So we need to start creating more data sets. I stand for this all the time. We need to create data set that align to global standards.